Welcome to Loving God and Loving Life. Here we are in Acts chapter 18, where the theme is Paul ministering in the city of Corinth and Apollos also coming and preaching with power in this city. What I love most about this chapter is just the personal nature of it as we see Paul living with a couple by the name of Aquila and Priscilla for a year and a half. He stays with them. He lives with them. They're tent makers. So they, work together, minister together, build this church together. Corinth becomes a very successful church. It grows. But what is so amazing about this chapter is after Paul's there a year and a half, and then he leaves. After he leaves, there still isn't a one designated preacher, if you will. There's leaders. Aquila and Priscilla are in charge, and they're great leaders, but they don't have a speaking gift, per se. It's always been that way, that there are some people who just gather attention when they talk, and for whatever reason, over this year and a half, nobody has risen up with that particular gift. But interestingly enough, right after Paul leaves, a man by the name of Apollos comes to town. And oddly enough, Apollos is out there sharing Christ. He's even unaware of the church yet. And Aquila and Priscilla find him. They hear him. And the odd thing is Apollos doesn't even know that Jesus has been resurrected yet. Apollos has gone through John's baptism, which means John preached that there was a man coming and the Messiah was coming. And if you understand at that time, it's hard for us to comprehend that there's no internet, there's no news. So when you heard a message and you lived then, miles away or 100 miles away, Apollos lived a great distance. So he heard the message of John. Well, the news of Christ, that the Messiah that John preached had come, hadn't even gotten to Apollos yet. But yet he's an eloquent speaker and he knows the Messiah is coming. Well, Aquila and Priscilla hear that. They pull him aside. They explain to him, and just bang, Apollos gets it. He's like, this is awesome. Jesus, the Messiah, has come. But there's so many interesting facets to this story. And it's just so part of our life, because we've all been tempted to think this. Man, if God were in charge, these are the great acts of the great apostles, the acts of God. And we think, man, if I were running this, gosh, I could have ordered this a little better. Why not have Apollos show up a year earlier, a month earlier? Have him show up while Paul is still there. The great apostle Paul can mentor this young preacher. Or how about this? Why not just have Aquila and Priscilla? Why not give them a speaking gift? But God does it in such interesting ways where we need each other. After Paul leaves, Apollos shows up. Aquila and Priscilla are able to pull him aside, explain to him. Bang, now they have another, a very eloquent speaker again. But my bottom line that I want you to see this chapter is, this is our life. We're tempted to say, man, if God were really in charge, if God were leading things, wouldn't everything line up a little bit better? Wouldn't everything make perfect sense to our brain and just line up? So often it doesn't line up the way God doesn't do things the way our brain would like them to be ordered. But let's trust God. Let's just trust him. Let's trust him and do what Aquila and Priscilla did and just share the faith and share God's love wherever we go. That's why we're praying that prayer every day. God, use us. God, use us like you used Aquila and Priscilla. God, today, send us one person today to share your love with. Friends, never forget it. Loving God, serving God, it's the only way to love your life.